I want you to watch this video, chat. This game can destroy your computer. What game is it? How does it do it? Let's find out. Whoa.
If
Oh
there
my
is
God, the dial-up
anything
sound.
that computers have taught us, it's that just one decision, the tiniest ripple in the fabric of time, can have dire
Is it gonna delete System 34? Is that what the game is
consequences.
doing?
It is exactly why you can never be too careful when approaching something that you may not
Outlook.
fully understand. Well, in the
Bro, Windows 98 setup. I've never used Windows 98, man. What
late
the hell?
1990s, a simple oversight in some video game code would lead to a worldwide
A game from 1990s.
A simple oversight and not fully understand. Well, in the late 1990s,
In the late 1990s. What games were out then? Diablo 1? 1990s. Late 1990s. Video games.
One came out in 1999.
Well,
No, I think it's 1999.
yeah, well, that's still the late 1990s.
Yeah.
OG Baldur's Gate, MechWarrior 2 and Descent came out in 1995. Alright, then Fallout 1. Damn, really?
a simple oversight in some
Doom?
video game
Lots
code
of good
would
games?
lead to a
Damn.
worldwide recall that would nearly cost a company their entire livelihood. A relatively new video game company called Bungie released the
Bungie?
sequel to their successful
Wait. Isn't Bungie the ones that are making Destiny? Used to. They're not anymore.
full Myth franchise, Myth 2 Soulblighter, a fantasy game that immerses the user into a world of fighting warlocks and ghosts, would soon be leaving the user fighting for all the files on their hard drive.
Great Halo.
If you were running Microsoft Windows and, for whatever reason, needed to uninstall or reinstall Myth 2,
You played this? Oh god, is your PC safe?
your entire system would be completely wiped beyond repair.
Wait, if you just install
Microsoft Windows and, for whatever reason, needed to uninstall or reinstall Myth 2, your entire system would be completely wiped beyond repair. This was a catastrophic issue that was thankfully caught quite early on, but the damage was still done. Bungie was given no other choice but to buy back the 200,000 copies of the game that were just about to hit store shelves to replace them with a patched version.
200,000 physical copies they had to buy back.
Jesus Christ, how did they recover
The
from
ordeal
this?
costed Bungie nearly $1 million.
Oh my god!
And they even put out a public announcement urging others to beware
Then they went and made Halo 1? Well, I guess that's how they recovered.
of this devastating bug. It's quite unsettling when
They saw
mass
the
destruction
virus?
just
Actually,
shows
man.
up without an immediate explanation, which is then accompanied by a visceral sense of dread of not knowing what this unknown force's capabilities are or what will even come next. But when you really investigate what happened to cause all these problems, it's remarkably simple, and the simplicity of this bug is very reflective of the overall nature of computers at the time.
Christ, man, that's like several $1 million in today's money. Yeah, inflation, man. We love it!
Both in terms of how they were designed and how they
Matrix
were
leaks.
used. It's also indicative of just how vulnerable these machines were, particularly those that ran Microsoft Windows. It was a very costly lesson on Bungie's end, but its long-term impact may have actually been very beneficial for the company and the customs of cybersecurity in general. Because we typically
That's
learn
actually a
more
good point.
of what not to do when using new and unfamiliar technology, which is certainly a case of history repeating itself. Our constant adaptation to new obstacles
I don't know why, but it's just slightly reminds me of the case where this antivirus program recently just shut down so many freaking Windows PCs. It was a handful of months back. It wasn't a game that was causing it, but it was literally Microsoft themselves shooting themselves in the fucking leg. Like, holy shit, man. The CrowdStrike? Yeah, exactly that. History repeating. More or less.
that show up is the reason that
Well, yep. Your system didn't get wiped, but you literally couldn't get in, right?
Our constant adaptation to new obstacles that show up is the reason that our TVs don't get hijacked all the time, or our phones randomly start ringing.
Bro.
Ow!
Oh my god.
Ew!
Bro, that's actually some freaking ass horror shit. Ah! Why is he like this?
Hello?
I'm gonna chop you up like liver.
Who is this? How did you get this number?
I got it from blankpages.com, from a data broker. Let's play a game called
Oh, it's an ad.
Guess What Part of the House I'm in.
It's an ad. It's an ad.
Nice one, Steve. Good Halloween costume. Excuse me. Oh, you
I
want to play
swear it
Psycho
has to be
Killer?
an ad.
Can I be the helpless victim?
Nice. No! Not VPN? No, I don't think it's not VPN.
I've got to stop drinking.
Yeah, man. Oh my god, the thick ass screen, man. Bro, how did you even get that?
This was my
Right.
life after using Delete Me. Thanks to them, they removed my
Ah,
personal
it's Delete
data,
Me,
like my phone
right.
number, address, age, and other things, from search results and hundreds of data broker websites to better protect me from identity theft, stalking, or
Call those
doxing.
ads.
They even gave me a privacy report just a week later to show all the work that they did for me. Now my phone calls sound more like this. Hello? Sign up with my code joindeleteme.com/nationsquid20 to get 20% off your consumer plan. That is joindeleteme.com/nationsquid20. Thank you to Delete Me for sponsoring this video.
Oh my god, what a throwback. Ah! Windows XP!
So what is exactly
Hey!
happening with Myth 2?
Oh my god, MSN! MSN! Windows Messenger, I miss it. Oh my god.
So what is exactly happening with Myth 2? Well, it all had to do with a specific glitch in the game's uninstall tool and the way it reacted to the directory of where the game was located.
Bro, the oldest PC game that I've ever played that I can really remember is... It might have been a Harry Potter game. Might have been one of the first 3 Harry Potter games, I think. Also, some game with Dragon. I don't think it was a Dragon Age game.
Dragon Quest.
No, it was not Dragon Quest. How old is one of the first Dragon Age games? Age.
Early 2000s. 2010?
Really? 2010? First release. 2009. How old was I then? Let me think. I can't think. No, it wouldn't have been Dragon Age, I don't think. No. Must have been a different game. Spyro? I played Spyro on the PlayStation. Like, I'm talking PC only right now. Windows Pinball? Yeah, of course Windows Pinball, man. But, like, looking away from that. EA Origins was 2K9, I think. Yeah, I just looked it up. It was 2K9. I mean, I played Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 2 from my Dead Employee CD. Oh my god. FIFA 99? How to Tame Your Dragon? What? Heroes of Might and Magic 3? I think it had, like, I remember the CD. The CD had a red, like, the CD was white. Where did this come from? The CD was white and it had a red dragon as a symbol.
Look up Dragon Age.
Okay. Dragon Age Origins.
Never
How does the CD design look like? This might have been it.
Dragon
Maybe. AH1. Actually, I think that was it. Yeah, you know what? Oh my god, I played the original Dragon Age. Would you look at that? Not that memorable to me because of, I don't know, it was years ago, but yeah. Would you look at that?
Now, if you're unfamiliar with the more technical aspects of computers, you might think that an uninstall tool for a program is just not very necessary. I mean, can't you just right-click on the program and delete it? Well, in some cases, yes, you can. This is actually the default setup for uninstalling programs on macOS. You quite literally just look for it in your applications folder and toss it in the trash. But macOS and Windows are set up differently, and it was even more different back in the 90s. Yes, sometimes you certainly could just right-click on the program and simply delete it.
Minesweeper!
But there are problems. Sometimes you certainly could just right-click on the program.
Free Cell, Minesweeper, Pin, Paul, and Solitaire. Oh my god, the old Paint.
And simply delete it. But there are problems here. Whenever you do install something, especially on Windows, it creates a folder in a certain part of your computer, which we call a directory, where it puts all the files for that program, which it can always navigate to whenever a specific program calls for something. This is different from macOS's app packaging system, where everything is in one place. In fact, something much more complex, like a video game, can have multiple directories on Windows, many of which can be in entirely different locations. This is also not including the registry keys for the program. It gets
If it can be the way Mac does it, where it's all in one location, just like compiled at one place, why is Windows still doing it like this? Like, since you can clearly do it another way? That seems so outdated then. What the hell is Windows?
Messy and complicated. This is exactly why just right-clicking on a program and deleting it in Windows is not enough. You still have all these directories and additional data that's left behind. So that's where uninstall tools are handy. You just open the uninstallation wizard and it will delete the program and all that extra stuff for you.
Are uninstall tools still a thing? I don't remember any.
there are.
Yeah, like, but I mean, like, an actively, like, a program or like an execute you need to like run, like you used to have to. Are people still doing that?
Very
Yeah, I don't remember any having it either. Like, it must be super rare. Certain things do need it. Like what? What does still have it? Linux is more similar to the Windows system.
Where you don't have to worry about it until you do. Keep in mind that, again, this was the 90s, where hard drive space was much smaller and therefore much more valuable. Of course, video games were also lighter back then, but it was customary to delete any programs you weren't planning on using in order to really maximize the storage of your PC.
Oh my god, I actually remember doing that too, just like uninstalling everything that wasn't fucking needed at all. And then my mom coming at me like, where did this program go? I don't know. Must have been a virus, lol.
And Myth 2's uninstallation was
What? Close the window, the Wi-Fi is getting out, man.
wizard contained a huge problem. Rather than doing the routine practice of just deleting everything related to the game inside that directory, it would just delete the whole directory. For example, if you decided to install Myth 2 in your special video games folder that you created, all your other video games would go with it. If you installed it in your program files directory, all your other programs would go with it. But it gets much worse, because then there's people who decide to install the game in something called the root directory. File systems are set up in a hierarchy structure. Your computer is basically one giant folder. So when you create a folder on your desktop, you're essentially creating a folder within a folder within a folder, and so on. The root folder contains everything on your computer, all your files, and all of Microsoft.
Oh my god, just install it on its own directory. Okay. So, yes, it's stupid that this happened, but people also kind of did it to themselves.
Windows. I assume you see where this is going. If somebody installs Myth2 within their root directory and then decides to uninstall it, they are going to delete their whole entire
Bye-bye,
PC with it. And that's what happened, specifically to one of Bungie's publishers. Her contract for the game was completed, so
To one of the publishers,
she decided to clear up some space on her computer and uninstall the program. Sure enough, it
As a freaking publisher, how stupid are you installing it right into the root directory? There's no fucking way, man. How do you do
was
this?
located in her root directory. So she completely
As a person with zero PC experience, as a kid, I would have done that. But even back then, it should have had, like, a recommended path taken first. Do not do this. It formats your hard drive in Linux. Don't forget to uninstall the French language pack sudo im-fr. Oh my god.
wiped her files. Reportedly, her computer wouldn't even boot up into Windows anymore. The issue within the
In fairness, they likely had no idea it was going to delete everything. Well, obviously they didn't. But
code
still,
was quickly discovered
who the
and
fuck
fixed,
installs
but there was a
programs
problem.
directly
The
there?
game was scheduled to release in just a couple of days. Heck,
Program files was the default path. Okay, but that's still one underneath the entire root directory. At least. You know? That's at least still one underneath
copies
that.
of the game were already on their way to the retail stores they would be sold at. So Bungie had to make a very calculated risk. They had two options. They could either say nothing and just hope that this doesn't become as big of an issue, or two, they could recall all of the outgoing copies of the game and put out an announcement telling everybody about this big glitch. It would cost them a lot of money and be incredibly embarrassing, but
honestly, I respect that they recalled it and refunded all of it. Like, almost a full freaking million. Honestly, freaking respectable.
it was the honest thing to do, and it could even save their reputation as a company. So Bungie took the high road and owned up to their mistake. Their
No company would do this nowadays anymore, man. Oh, it feels bad.
big financial hit ended up successfully replacing most bad copies of the game just 2 days after its initial release.
Oh,
so
shit,
it did
that
not become
fast.
as widespread of an issue as it could have, aside for just a handful of people. For those who still had the original copy, Bungie instructed them to just take the program and throw it in the recycle bin. Again, it wasn't going to get rid of everything, but it sure is better than losing all your files. Bungie's sacrifice ultimately saved the game. It received
Nowadays, they will do the South Park sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. Man, I love South Park. Big Mom, thanks for the
very
follow,
good
man.
reviews from critics.
Oh, sorry, that was earlier. I burnt my waffles? Damn, thank you for the follow, and don't burn the waffles. That's sad. That's a waste of waffles.
And was Bungie's highest
Came from
selling
YouTube,
game
what's
at that
up?
time, further bolstering their name within the gaming space. Now the question is how something so simply dangerous could have even happened in the first place. I mean,
Yeah.
even in the 90s, you'd think Windows would know better than to just let anyone add anything they want to the root directory willy-nilly. Right? Well, no.
Yeah.
And the reasons for that were unintentional as well as intentional. The obvious part of this answer is that in the 90s, computers were new for everyday people. Therefore, it was a whole new space,
Oh my
and
God,
even the
Nickelodeon.
most advanced people at that time didn't understand it in the way we do now. This meant that we didn't fully understand what people were capable of, accidental or not. In fact, many of the reasons our computers are so secure now is because we've learned from catastrophic events of the past. It's the reason why things like the I Love
That's
You
good
virus
then,
and a
honestly.
million other
Wait.
computer worms were popping up everywhere.
The I love you virus? Kindly check the attached love letter coming from me. What the hell is the I love you letter? What? Do we go on YouTube? Cool. Yes, this goes on YouTube's.
We just didn't know any better. And when we look back at these viruses,
Not
we
the
see
worm. Email that had a link, and what did the link do? I guess it's a virus, Trojan or something.
just how simple they are in nature. And they do things that Windows would so obviously not allow today. But it's because of these things that we do know better. Yes, back then you quite literally could just drag any file or folder
Just live and learn, and they actually learn from their mistakes. Honestly, I guess it's better to make mistakes early than later.
That you wanted directly into the root directory without any objection. Nowadays, you get a prompt telling you that you have to run as an administrator first, though even then, typically, all someone has to do is just click continue, and they can continue to do this. So it's not much of a barrier to entry, but this is somewhat intentional. Windows, on purpose, doesn't lock everything down, because they want to give the user a lot of flexibility. But as a tired Uncle Ben once said, with great power comes great responsibility. If you know what you're doing, having all this power is great, but the slightest mess up can create an avalanche of problems. There's even some debate.
This is why, like, I would say this is the same for like Android versus iPhones. iPhones are for, like, Apple is for people who just want a device that just works. You don't need to customize it much. It's just for like your average dumb person. That's how I'm guessing Macs would be too. So like, give your grandparents a Mac instead of a Windows laptop, I guess. Hey, this is dangerous. Are you sure, Linux? Damn. UAC being a child of Vista, still funny how Vista have a lot legacy than 7. I don't know what UAC is. Read write aheads floated above the disk without the command to park away from the surface of the disk. It floated to the disk and scratched off the magnetic coating, physically damaging the device. Talking about the disk. Oh, jeez, what? Jesus Christ, man. The freaking trivia.
That Windows does this a little too much. A great example of this would be the whole CrowdStrike fiasco from July of 2024, where millions of computers faced intense outages. This was all because CrowdStrike software had a little too many privileges within Windows, and so when they pushed out an update that contained code that was faulty, it took the entire system down. Yep. The reason you always hear about Windows encountering so many more problems than something like Mac OS is 1, it's more popular, so there's more demand to create malicious software for it, and 2, Mac OS is a lot more restricted and locked down. It can't hurt you as much because you can't change it as much. So it...
Buy your grandparents a freaking Mac. It's for people that just need a device to work.
Once again, brings up an important debate a lot of people have. Should it really be this easy to add things to the root directory? Do the pros weigh out the cons? I mean, it's not like Windows anticipated that some really weird glitch like this would happen. In fact, it wasn't even just Myth 2. A sequel to the pool of Radiance games included a bug where important system files would get deleted if you uninstalled the game, and this was around the same time. However, this game did not take the Bungie route, and it was instead released as is, and the game's negative reviews did reflect that. It even happened...
Yeah, as said, in that case, it's very fucking respectable of Bungie to actually just take the fucking L, buy it back for almost a freaking mil, but they saved their reputation. By just admitting, yo, we fucked up, here's your money back, let us re-release the game. Good on them, man. Good on them.
Much more recently, in 2018, with the game Deltarune featuring the exact same glitch as the one seen in Myth 2.
Wait, what? Apparently the uninstaller of Deltarune just deletes the entire directory the uninstall list, and depending on where you installed it, this could have some consequence. I recommend you don't use the uninstaller. From 2018? Oh my god!
It's also important to note that back then, a lot of installers would recommend the root directory by default. So, a non-tech savvy user
from earlier, that was my bad.
At the time wasn't going to give much thought to something being installed there. And the address for the root directory is a lot easier to remember. So it would often become an installation spot that users would get accustomed to. I could imagine this very well happening with something like Myth 2 back in 1998. And I think that this entire story serves as a cautionary tale for how, whenever we are given lots of power, we need to confront it very delicately. It was reported that Myth 2's development was quite rushed. Bungie was trying so hard to ride on the wave of the first Myth game, which was very popular. They got the sequel out just around a year later. We've seen time and time again what rushing stuff does, like with Windows Vista or even Game of Thrones as a non-tech example. But going back to the whole butterfly effect concept we discussed at the beginning, because Bungie decided to own up to their mistake, we got Halo.
There it is. We got Halo because of that. Still gonna play that at one point, never did.
Who knows where they would have been had
Actually,
they not done that.
I probably don't need to.
But how about we try this bug out for ourselves? Now, according to all my research,
Wait,
it
it's
appears that this first edition
9-inch Nails fan club. Cookies. You haven't played Halo? No, I have not.
of Myth 2 that included the bug is now lost media. I unfortunately could not find any copies online that
My
in fact
briefcase.
featured it. So I'm going to be recreating, to the best of my ability, what this most likely would have looked like. As always, do not try this at home, especially when dealing with critical software
You heard it here. Do not do this at home, chat.
such as this. With that said, let's begin. I am currently running Windows 95. And as you can see, I am also running
It's
Myth
these
2,
days, okay.
which I have installed in my root directory. Now I've decided I am going to uninstall it. So we'll go ahead and open the uninstaller here.
Okay. Okay.
Here we go.
Like, is the PC just gonna crash? Or like the virtual machine in this case?
Keep in
I
mind
guess?
that a lot of the files in the root directory are currently being used to power this computer.
Try it in a Windows virtual machine. That's what he's doing, right?
So they can't exactly be deleted easily while things are running. As you can see, it's hanging quite a bit.
Good night, Violet.
Well, let's go ahead and try rebooting and see what happens.
Okay.
Ah,
Nice. Cannot find a device file that may be needed to run with. The fact that it would just deleted everything. That's crazy. Oh my. Like, actually thinking about it, like, now, it's insane. Us.
looks like it didn't get everything in time because I'm still getting a prompt, but it sure got enough to prevent Windows from powering on. Now this is no longer a myth. Okay. Thank you to Delete Me for sponsoring this video. Use my link in the description to get your data removed from the internet for 20% off.
Whoa.
A special thanks to my patrons and channel members for making this video possible.
Video game.
Thank you so
uninstall,
much for
deleting your
watching.
entire
If you
PC,
enjoyed this
man.
video, please subscribe and click the notification bell so that you never miss a future video.
I enjoy his videos. They're great, man. Installing all your games in the same directory is a great way to stomp on conflicting resources. That's why most software these days will pop up a warning if you try to install in a directory that isn't empty. Oh, really? I had no idea they do that because I don't install it in the same directory. But that's nice then. Still, the funny analogy for a VM or virtual box, they are a condom for computing. Okay. Alright, you're done. You're done. As a casual PC user, this would give me a panic attack. Same.